We will now have the candidates for the District 3 Board of County Commission race. We'll start with Mr. Wilder. You have 3 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. My name is Chuck Wilder, lifelong resident of Walton County. I've been a businessman for most of my adult life, with the exception of a short period of time. I was in public service under Sheriff Ralph Johnson. I left the Sheriff's Department in 2005 to pursue a career in the waste business. It's been a long process, but I started a business with 2 trucks, 2 employees, and today I have over 50 trucks, 60 employees, and I finally got to a point to where my company almost runs itself because I have fantastic people that do that, and it allows me to pursue something I've always been passionate about, was my county. And this is an opportunity for me to give back to the place that's been through those journeys. I've had failures and I've had successes. It takes both of those to get a great sense of business. If everybody ran a business and was successful all the time, I'd like to know who they are, because they've certainly solved something that I couldn't do. One of the things that I'm passionate about is being fiscal conservative. I noticed some things within the county that it's probably more of a procedural or a policy that's the way it's always been done. And when I've had staff come to me and I ask them why certain things were done a certain way, I've heard that phrase before. Well, that's the way we've always done it. My reply is, at one time we rubbed sticks together to get fired. Thankfully, somebody decided to step outside of that box and make things a little more efficient. I think there's things we can look at that will save the county money, and that's one of the things that I want to look at. You know, we hear a lot of things about affordable housing, but sometimes if you can get the wages up, more houses become affordable, and that may be another thing for us to take a look at. I've heard it be said that we're short-staffed. What I've heard a lot of times from some of the departments is we're a training ground. We'll hire them, we train them, just good enough to go to a competing county or agency to make more money. So we have to look at ways we can maybe get those entry-level, mid-level wages up. So instead of train and retrain, hire and retrain, how about we train and retain? And I appreciate that. Again, Chuck Wilder, Walton County District 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah, Mr. Douglas, Ms. Carla, Ms. Kathy, all the members of the DBPA. Thank you very much for doing this. I've been coming to these political rallies since I was 1 year old. My dad ran for superintendent of schools way back in the day in 1976 and 1980. So I grew up going to these things. They've shrunk down a little bit in time, but it's still great to see participation out there. You all have heard a lot of political speeches the last couple of nights on TV. The RNC is going on right now. Many of you have heard us give speeches over and over and over again. I don't want to give a political speech tonight. I want to share a little bit about some of my life experiences. When I was 5 years old, my daddy and I, who's sitting out here in the audience, we were working on fences one Saturday morning. About lunchtime, we knocked off because he wanted to go buy some materials at King's Hardware to finish up what we were doing. We went up to King's and we started picking out, the stuff that we needed, and I saw some staples sitting in one of those vats, one of those bins, and they had a U shape. You know what the staples look like, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I wanted some, and I said, "Daddy, let's get some of these nails that do like this." And he said, "Son, we don't need those." I said, "Yeah, but I want some." He said, "We don't need those. We're not getting any." Well, he went to pay for all the rest of the stuff that we were buying that day. And I took a pocket of those nails, those staples, and I filled it up. I just got me a handful and put them in my overall pockets, and we went back home. I started working on that fence post, and I started using those new nails that I really liked. And he said, "Hey son, where'd you get those nails?" I said, "Well, I found them in the truck." He said, "No, you didn't." He said, "You took those nails from the hardware store, didn't you?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Let's go." He drug me back up to King's Hardware, and we walked in, and he said, "Now before we go in, you're going to find Mr. Billy Ray Rhodes, and you're going to tell him you're sorry that you stole his nails. And I walked in there and I was crying, just tears in my eyes. I was humiliated. And I had to go back there and I said, Mr. Rhodes, I stole your nails and I'm sorry. And what Mr. Rhodes did, he didn't show me any mercy or love. He said, thank you, Brad, for bringing those back. He didn't let me off light. My daddy didn't let me off light. He told me what I had to do. Those are values. Those are things you don't see people doing in Portland, Oregon. They show no disrespect for the law. When I was 17 years old, I was in high school and I skipped school because I was not prepared for my biology test. So I thought it'd be real neat to get somebody to write me a note to skip out to go to the dentist. Well, the next morning, my dad found out about it that night, but the next morning, he didn't say anything. The next morning, I'm sitting in first period in Mr. Grice's class, and Mr. Fauner comes on the intercom, and he says, Mr. Grice, is Brad down there? Yes, sir. Send him to the office. Went up to the office, Mr. Fauner said, Brad, your dad's on the line. I said, oh, good. I'm not in trouble. As soon as I got on the phone with my dad, Mr. Fauner, and he was watching me and listening, my daddy said, son, I heard you had some problems with your teeth. I said, no, sir, I did not. He said, yeah, but you checked out of school and you missed your biology test. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, here's what we're going to do. He said, you're going to take a 0 on that test. You're going to tell Mr. Fauner to give you 5 licks, and then when you get home, we're going to talk about this some more. And we did. And Mr. Fauner gave me 5 licks, and it wasn't fun. And I see the work brothers sitting out here who know a little bit of something about parents that are school teachers that are pretty good with a paddle. And I would say Mr. Work was pretty good with a paddle. But those are values. Those are values that are instilled in us as children and as adults. When I went to Tallahassee, you gave me an opportunity to go over to the state legislature and fight for you. Okay, I'll wind this up. I was on a roll. But I wanted you to know, if there's anything that I will do for you in government, is that I will take the values that were given to me, the values that were instilled in me as a small child, and I'm going to do what's right. No shortcuts, no cheating, no treating people with disrespect. Just do what's right. It's been an honor to serve on the county commission for the length of time that I have. I appreciate Governor DeSantis' confidence in me and supporting me and giving me the opportunity. And I would like to ask for your prayers, your consideration, and I want to earn your vote if you'll give it to me on August the 20th. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will start with Mr. Wilder. Okay, if you could be king for a day, what one thing would you change about county government? I didn't come up with these questions.
Wow. Wow. Now, if you ask Brad what's the color of the sun, I'm going to be upset. If I could be king for a day, what's the one thing I would change about county government?
Yes.
Division. I think our county and our government has division right now. It seems like there is a north and a south, you know, and both sides are equally passionate about their views. It doesn't make one right or one wrong. It's just that there's a little bit of a disconnect, mainly because people in the north end of the county, and I've talked to a lot of people in the north end of the county, not one time did a lot of these people mention.
Look at the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Get me straight. Not one time have I had anyone in Paxton ask me about beach access. It just doesn't happen. Not one time has anyone in the south end asked me about the ag center that's supposed to go out on Highway 90, because their situations are completely different. You know, because geographically we're different, what we do for a living is different. So the people's passions are different. But I think what we have to find amongst each other is acceptance and understanding that we are different, our needs are different. And just because your need is not my need does not diminish your need. So I think if I could be king for a day, I would try to find a little more unity amongst us as a county. Thank you.
Well, I would make sure that all of the infrastructure needs are taken care of. If you had a blank checkbook and you were king for the day, I would want to make sure that every road was paid, that every dirt road was maintained, that everybody had a well-paying job. I mean, if you could just, wave a magic wand, obviously you can't do that though. You have to work within the limitations that you're giving. The resources that are paid by the taxpayers, paid by the taxpayers is a finite amount of money. So given the resources that you have to work within the limitations, you have to set priorities. I try to do that. When I was first appointed to commissioner about 10 months ago, the first meeting that I sat in was a budget meeting. And I was still trying to understand how the county's budget was put together. I come from state government. I know all about state government budgets and how they're put together and how the appropriations are made. But I was learning on the go. But we were going through this exercise, and when we got to the point where we had to establish the millage rate, one commissioner decided to make a motion to lower the millage rate. So as I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, this is great. We're about to cut taxes. But at the same flip of the coin, the same commissioner wanted to continue. He wanted to lower the millage rate, reduce revenues, increase expenses, but pay the balance from reserves. Now that's what they do in Washington, D.C. I don't know of anybody. I have not met anyone that thinks that what they're doing in our national Congress, as far as it goes to establishing a budget, is wonderful. It doesn't work. It's called Bidenomics, and it doesn't work. So if to answer the question though, I would want to make sure that we maintain good fiscal responsibility, and that's my obligation to you. If you allow me to continue to sit up there at that table, I will take that responsibility very seriously, and that's going to be one of the highest priorities.
All right. Dr. at this time.
Brett, Walton County's 3 municipalities and beach community are unique, or communities, are unique and culturally very different from each other. Should county government take different approaches in meeting individual community needs, or try to treat all communities the same?
There was a lot in there. Can you go back?
Sure. About how different all the municipalities are, and the question is, should county government take different approaches in meeting individual community needs, or try to treat all communities the same?
Well, I mean, nothing ever works when you do things the absolute same. So you have to recognize your differences, where you differentiate by culture, where you differentiate by economic status. The amount of resources that are available in Paxton are not the amount of resources that are available in Miramar Beach. I recognize that. But now, the way you broke that down is if you're talking about the municipal form of government or governance, you're looking at City of Paxton, City of Freeport, City of Definiac Springs, and then you have the county. Well, here's the deal. When a group of people get together and decide to incorporate, when they establish a defined boundary of existence, it means that the collective agreement among the people is that they want to live there within those boundaries. And in doing so, you agree to the terms. So if you live within the boundaries of the City of Paxton, it means that you commit to the obligations provided within the charter of the City of Paxton. The same the City of Definiac Springs. It's a choice that people make when they choose to move to Freeport, to Definiac Springs, to Paxton, Crestview, Pensacola, or whatever. If you choose to live inside those boundaries, you kind of agree to those terms. But on the, that knife cuts both ways. If you are a part of charter government, city government, then what you're saying is that we're going to accept some of our own, we're going to accept the obligations that exist, and we're not going to ask for, bigger government to meet the needs of the community. The reason that we organized and we established ourselves as a municipality is so that we can live cohesively among each other and agree to get along and work, together, given our collective agreement, or what we want to see within our particular community. So you're saying that you don't want to be reliant on bigger government. But I mean, as far as the county goes, if you look at all the different areas, Glendale, Paxton, Miramar Beach, Point Washington, Freeport, they're all unique in its own. If there are places where we can provide, partnerships in infrastructure and things like that, we want to do that, but, recognize that we all agreed to exist in the way that we decided to move and make our home where we did.
Same question. Walton County's 3 municipalities and beach communities are unique and culturally very different from each other. Should county government take different approaches in meeting individual community needs or try to treat all communities the same?
I don't think any of them should be treated indifferent, okay? The people in Paxton are just as important as the people in Miramar Beach. People in Freeport are just as important as the people in Defuniak. So in that respect, I don't think that they're treated different, but I agree with Commissioner Drake that each of those needs are very different. Tax base is different, needs are different, but if the question is, should they be treated differently, then I would say no, they are not to be treated indifferent.
Right, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Name a specific current need for each of the 4 Walton County communities. The needs might be similar or nothing alike, depending on the community.
The 4 communities?
Each of the 4.
Okay. I'll start with Paxton. I'm sorry?
I'm talking to myself.
Okay.
I was counting to 4.
I count a lot more than 4 because communities is Glendale, Gaskin, Darlington, Argyle, Bruce, Red Bay. There's a lot more than 4, and each of those are very important. Choctaw Beach, Villatasso, Mossy Head, New Harmony. We have a multiple of 4, so 4 is really not the number. So each of those, I think, have their own needs. A lot of these small communities, their biggest resource is their children, and it's important to them to have places for their children in the parks. People are adamant about their animals. They want places for their pets. They want dog parks. They want splash pads for children. So I think that's universal across the county. It would be difficult for me to sit here and pretend that I know the very specific need for each of those communities. I think that comes from us getting in touch with those communities, or staying in touch with those communities, staying in touch with their government, and being open and helpful to try to get their needs met.
Thank you. I think in a lot of areas, especially blighted areas, internet connectivity is aggravating. It's frustrating not to be able to get on the internet, especially after, you know the deal, when we've all suffered through hurricanes, right? The worst happens, and then, the power goes out, and you're okay with that. You don't mind sweating through the night, a couple of nights, and you get the battery operated fans, you get the candles out. But by God, if you lose your internet service, man, people are pissed off. And we've all been that. Once you become reliant on it, it's a must. It's a must-have. So I think that's important in some of the blighted areas and some of the rural areas. In Miramar Beach, parking, traffic is an issue. Those are issues that are not going away. That it's always going to have focused attention. Focused attention costs money, and the resources are. We do what we can, the best that we can with the resources that we have. Transportation for our workforce. There are people that travel from Sampson, Alabama, from Pace, Florida, from Crestview to go down to the beach because, we are a tourist-based economy, whether we like it or not, and it's very difficult to find people that, want to be a part of the workforce, but they're traveling from communities that are 60 and 80 and 100 miles away, so that's certainly a need. Now, communities like Freeport, Defuniak Springs, getting sewer and water infrastructure in the ground, getting things placed so that, when we can grow modestly. growth is good when it's done modestly because you have options, you have economic activity that comes through your neighborhood. I mean, there's a lot of things that we enjoy, but we didn't know that we loved them until, we got to the point where we knew that they existed. So with growth comes challenges, but you have to have a little bit of that so that you can have plenty of economic options. So I think that's kind of, in a roundabout way, that answers. And by the way, the champion for broadband internet in Walton County is none other than Miss Sarah Commander. When there was nothing that existed, Commissioner Commander said, by gosh, if she can do one thing before she left office, she wanted to get connectivity. And Miss Sarah, I am a customer of WildStar because of your efforts.
Thank you.
Sorry, Brett, I lost track. This next question is for you. It's a repeat of one earlier question that you've already heard about social media. In particular, Facebook and Twitter, or X, have become a launch pad for vicious, dangerous rants that can harm reputations and spread deliberate lies and misinformation. In light of the relentless, hateful rhetoric and the recent assassination attempt on Donald Trump, how should a candidate or incumbent respond to such malicious vitriol?
Do you want me to answer this like Donald Trump would answer that question?
That's up to you, sir.
Okay. Tell the truth. Facts are fair. Commissioner Anderson goes through this exercise. Mr. Wilder's going through this exercise. I'm going through this exercise. I'm putting myself out there to be scrutinized. Facts are fair. Okay? Now, I'm glad you asked me this question. There's this guy in the community, and he doesn't even use a real name. He uses a fictitious name. And I've learned all about myself because of these narratives that this dude is writing. And people will email me and they'll say, hey, have you read the latest? Have you read the latest? Have you read the latest? And it's just these novels of fiction that come out through email, and they make no sense. There's no fact, there's no substance, there's no material in there that closely resembles the truth, but it likes to tag my name on it and just beat away and beat away and beat away. And I don't think Mr. Wilder's in favor of that. But if somebody wants to compare and contrast themselves, say like, hey, this person, candidate A, thinks that the answer to government's problems is more government, I'm going to say, no, I disagree respectfully. If Donald Trump, he was attacked the other night with physical violence. I mean, where does it stop? I guess it stops here in that to answer the question, the best way that you can is stand on the truth. If it's truth, if it's factual, it's okay. It's fair game. I don't care how it goes out. Newspaper, TV, internet, whatever. Be respectful, tell the facts. Don't run from the truth.
Before I ask Mr. Wilder the same question, because some of you have a drinking problem, we ran out of water early. However, we do have some water that's being placed in the cooler for you to carry. All right, Mr. Wilder, social media. In particular, Facebook and Twitter or X have become a launch pad for vicious, dangerous rants that can harm reputations and spread deliberate lies and misinformation. In light of the relentless, hateful rhetoric and the recent assassination attempt on Donald Trump, how should a candidate or incumbent respond to such malicious vitriol?
I'm going to agree with Commissioner Drake, but both of us are trying to do public service. We're both competing for your confidence, and we're competing for your approval and your vote. We both have servants' hearts. We're trying to give something back to our community. I have never attacked Mr. Drake. Mr. Drake has never attacked me. But what happens is our supporters who think that they love us and they want to promote us, they lose track of what should be going on. And that viciousness, it grows, And I've seen people that were in my camp get out of line. I've seen people in Mr. Drake's camp get out of line. What we've got to do is like he said, all the facts are fair game, okay? There's something that someone thinks that the public needs to know about me. I'm not mad about that, okay? It is what it is. But when people start guessing and trying to write their own narrative, and it's based off of half-truths, half-truth is a lie. It's not a half-truth, it's half-lie. So I think it's important that we try not to tear apart, you know, each other's dignity through this, because we're all good people. I think that we need to have some civility amongst ourselves through some of these campaigns. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I can tell you, I do not condone the behavior. I have put it down in my own camp. I have rid it of my own camp, and I truly believe that Commissioner Drake feels the very same way. I don't hang on social media. I go online. I try to post information about my campaign so people can know what I'm doing and where I'm going to be. But I have people pop in there, and it's just ugliness. It really is. I just ignore it. I think the people who get the most wrapped up and hurt by it is our families. You know, they love us and they see other people attack us, and they themselves want to defend us. And you know, I ask forgiveness from my wife, who's having to take this journey with me, and having to witness the violence that happens. But at the end of the day, we're going to stand on what we believe in. We're going to fight for your vote, and the public is going to choose one of us to be your next county commissioner. And I will accept either one of those with dignity and concede if I need to concede, and thank you if I need to be congratulated. And that's how I feel. Thank you.
You went first, right? You want to go first now? You want to close?
Oh, we're done? I'll pick up where I left off when I was giving my introduction. No, politics is not fun. Public service can be rewarding. I'll never forget the first constituent case that I ever worked on when I was an employee of the former state representative Don Brown. When he was elected to the House of Representatives in the year 2000, I went to work for Mr. Brown, and literally we weren't even in a real office yet. We were in a makeshift office, and this gentleman walks in. He's probably 80 years old. His name was Willie T, and I doubt Willie's living now. But Willie couldn't hear. He talked loud, but he was looking for some help. And I was the guy at the door, that the first person that he saw that he could talk to, and he vented out his problems. Well, we figured out what his deal was, is that, you know, he was trying to figure out a way to get assistance with some of the programs that existed in the state for people that were hard of hearing. And so he spelled out his issues with me, and I didn't really know what to do. I'd only been working for Mr. Brown, for Representative Brown, for a couple of days when this guy walked in, but we got on the phone with people that didn't know what they were doing in Tallahassee. We found Willie some hearing aids. Willie goes out to Beltone, I think it was out there, Twin Lakes Plaza. He goes out there, gets fitted for some hearing aids. He comes back 2 weeks later. He walks in that door and he said, Mr. Brad, I can hear for the first time, and you don't know how long, in X amount of years. And I said, Willie, I'm glad I could help you. Those are the parts of government service that I enjoy. The service is kind of fun, it's rewarding, it's good. It's the process to get there that sometimes is a challenge. I ask that each of you fairly size up every candidate, do your homework, do your research, pray for all of us, but make an informed decision, because this is real. The decisions that are made at that table at the county commission level are real. They affect everyday working citizens day in and day out. And you got to have people there that have a heart, that want to be honest, show integrity, and do things for the right reasons. And I ask for you to consider voting for me. I want to earn your trust, and I want to earn your vote. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys listen to me. I don't have all the answers. Like I said, I'm not a professional politician. I'm a businessman, and what I would like to do is bring a sense of business to the board. I'm not faulting any commissioners that we have. They do the best that they can based off of what they know. I just think that I may be able to bring a different approach to the board. And if you give me that chance, I will work as hard for you as that I've ever worked for myself. My father told me when I was a boy, he wasn't able to give me a whole lot monetarily or materialistically, but he gave me some wisdom that has carried me through my whole life. And what he told me, he said, son, if a man is kind enough to give you a job, never make him question if he made the right choice. And I have always carried that with me, and that's super important. I promise you, if you give me an opportunity to do the job, you'll never be sorry that you gave me that opportunity. On August the 20th, I'd appreciate a vote for Walker. Thank you very much, guys.
We'll take another 2 minutes or so. Anybody need to go?